Hi and welcome to the latest episode of the Franco Fearless Leadership Lab interview. Today I'm joined by Claudia King, CEO and founder of Firmsy. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you. It's fabulous to be here.
Great. So a lot of people may well have seen the old logo and then the new logo, but a lot of people probably won't know who you are and what the company does. Can you just share what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the CEO and founder of Firmsy, and we help lawyers or law firms to digitise their legal services. So instead of doing lawyering the traditional way, it's about taking it online and delivering those legal services online more conveniently and cost effectively for clients. So we were Automio, and back in Feb we rebranded to Firmsy to better represent who we are now. We've been going for nearly 5 years, and we've been on quite a journey, and a lot has changed, and so we really wanted something that better represented who we are now.
I'd love for you to share the process of how you came up with the new name and the new brand. Was it a hard process? Did it come to you pretty quickly?
It was quite a challenging process. Yeah, we engaged some brand strategists from the States to help us, and there was sort of two parts to it. The first part was to come up with the name, and then the second part was to come up with the look and feel of the branding that went with the name. And so the name was the challenging part, because we really wanted something where we could get the .com at an affordable price, because we're mostly in Australia at the moment, but we want to go beyond Australia, so having the .com is really important. And something that was more sort of related to lawyers and the legal profession, and something that was easy to say, because Automio was not.
So how did you get to the point of starting this business?
So I was a lawyer myself. I started off my career as a tax lawyer and moved back to New Plymouth in about 2008, and quickly became a director of a law firm here that I ran with my father, Dennis. And so I became, a partner in a law firm when I was about 26, so I was pretty young, and by about 28 I was like, oh shit, am I really going to be doing this for the rest of my life? Bit of a quarter-life crisis perhaps, and I realised that if I was going to make a go of this career and this profession, I needed to figure out how to do things differently for myself and for clients. So I started looking around overseas and looking at what other law firms were doing, and there wasn't a lot of innovation happening. But in the States, LegalZoom was gaining traction, and Rocket Lawyer, those big online legal services, and was really inspired by what they were doing. And so I decided to do my own version of that here in New Zealand. So I launched Legal Beagle, which was New Zealand's first online legal service. And we did mostly online conveyancing for a lot of first home buyers. KiwiSaver had just come in at the time. And we really sort of used that to help us sort of market our legal services as sort of experts in helping first home buyers tap into their KiwiSaver. And so ran that for a few years. It took me a while to get some traction with it, which was pretty hard at the time, but then we seemed to just find our stride, and it went really well for us. And so as part of that, we developed some software, which is now the basis for the Firmsy software. And so that software really allowed us to meet with our clients online, communicate with them online, provide all the information that they need through an online client portal. So most of our clients, we served over 4,000 clients through Legal Beagle, and I never met any of them. It was all done through the online portal. So it's that software that we had built that kind of took on a life of its own and became Firmsy. So I sold the law firm about 5 years ago and launched Firmsy as a software for lawyers to do something similar to what I had done with Legal Beagle.
So at that point 5 years ago, when you were going from a law firm into then in theory being kind of a software and a coaching organisation, what were the biggest 2 or 3 challenges you had to go through during that period?
So I went from a business that was very profitable to a business that had never earned $1 in revenue. And I had a team at my law firm, and then going into my startup, I didn't have a team. I did have a couple of people, but I was suddenly responsible for putting the bins out and paying the couple of people that we did, instead of just kind of focusing on the bits that I really enjoyed and was good at my law firm. So it was really like starting from scratch again, but it was really exciting. The other challenge that went with that was just gaining some initial traction in the market. We were initially focused on selling the software into New Zealand law firms, which proved really difficult.
So I want to pick up on that, because you said in your intro that the majority of your clients are in Australia.
Correct.
Help us understand the challenges around, or the reasons why you've got more touch points in Australia as opposed to New Zealand.
The Australian legal market it's just a number of years ahead of the New Zealand legal market. The Australian legal market, it's a lot bigger, it's a lot more competitive. They're looking for a lot more sort of innovative solutions for their clients, whereas in New Zealand there's just not really that market pressure yet. There will be, and it's growing, but it's just not here yet. So Australia is really where it's kind of taken off for us. We kind of just stumbled on it, because after a few months of trying to sell to New Zealand firms and not really getting a lot of joy, we headed over to a conference in Brisbane sort of with our last few dollars, and just had such a great response there.
Brilliant.
And that was when I was all like, oh, okay, let's try and focus our efforts over here. And that's when it really started to take off.
So if you could go back to that point 5 years ago, knowing what you know now, what's the one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
So I think one of the best things that I did, but it took me a couple of years to figure it out, was to really niche down and focus on sort of a small segment of the market. So when I set out to sell the Firmsy software, I sold it to anybody who would kind of give me the time of day. Small law firms, sole practitioners, great big law firms, medium-sized law firms, in-house lawyers that worked for corporates, even to some businesses that weren't law firms. And so the result of that was that we had a lot of different customers asking for a lot of different things, and our software became quite sort of unfocused and scattered, and so did our marketing. So because of that, I decided to niche down into the sole practitioners and small law firms, 1 to 2 partners or business owners. And it was when we did that we really started to get some good growth, because our whole business just suddenly, like, a whole lot of the complexity was cut out of it.
Yeah, and I'd imagine the language and the narrative and
that's right.
buyer behaviour became a lot clearer.
Yes, and also the software itself, because small law firms, they require, this group of features, where bigger law firms require this, and this, that the smaller ones don't. So you can become a lot more focused with your development of the technology.